Good afternoon, everyone. Let me just make sure that I am live here. Give me a moment. And it looks like we are live. So, good afternoon. Carol Buckalew with Inky Stampers. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today, I am using products from the upcoming January to April 2023 mini catalog. Today we've got a sea turtle thank you card. So, really sweet little card. And let me refresh my screen again because it seems as if, I don't know why my screen freezes sometimes. There we go. I think we're good now. And I apologize, the dogs are going to bark. No. So sweet little sea turtle card. And this sea turtle is actually a good size. There's two different sizes in the stamp set. But this is the card we're going to be making today. And so I am using the sea turtle stamp set. And this stamp set, a couple of the stamps are reversible. So in other words, you could stamp a solid image and then come back and stamp the detailed image, whichever's easiest for you. Today, I just used the detailed side of the stamp to stamp, but all of these, actually, all of them are reversible. My apologies. Oh goodness, they are so noisy. Go on. So sorry. They're quiet when you don't need them to be, and then they're noisy when you need them to be quiet. Okay, so let's get started. We are going to, let me think here. Let's do some stamping first, and then we're going to do a little bit of coloring, and then we can go ahead and put the card together. And I have actually already done a little bit of pre-stamping and fussy cutting, just so that I wouldn't take up the whole video doing those things. And if anybody's leaving a comment, my apologies. I'm not seeing any comments on the screen. But anyway, let's go ahead and do a little bit of stamping here. I am going to, I started to talk about the sets I used. I used A Fish and a Wish stamp set for the sentiment, A Sea of Thanks, just because I thought it was so appropriate. So those are the two stamp sets that I've used for this card. The paper came from the By the Bay 6x6 Specialty Designer Series paper. And it's perfect for this sea turtle stamp set, just perfect. So I am going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment in mint macaron ink, and I'm going to die cut that here in just a moment. But again, the sentiment is A Sea of Thanks, and we'll get that stamped off here. Make sure I'm getting it inked up good. Okay, and it kind of doesn't matter where I stamp it, since I will be die cutting this. I got a bit of a halo on that. Let me try again. Try not to push down so hard this time. Okay, that looks pretty good. Put that away. And on our panel that the turtle is sitting on, I want to stamp a second generation stamp. I don't know if you can see it, but there's bubbles in the background. And the sea turtle stamp set has this great large bubble stamp. I just love it to death. And that's what I used. I stamped this in Pool Party ink. So let's go ahead and get that panel stamped. Just bring in a piece of scrap paper here. And I'm going to stamp that in Pool Party ink, second generation stamping, just so that it's a soft image. It's not... And this is a large stamp to ink up. But I'm just going to stamp off and then go ahead and stamp these bubbles across across this panel. And then we're going to stamp them a little bit on the envelope as well. And if you get variations in the stamping color, I think that just kind of adds to the effect of the bubbles. But I want to stamp this all the way up, the entire panel. Let me see here. Trying to get as good a coverage as I can here. And I think one more time I'll do it. And there we go. So that is that panel. That's what our turtle is going to sit on. And then I want to go ahead and just stamp some bubbles here in the corner of our envelope. And then also on the inside panel. There we go. That's the envelope. And let me grab the inside panel. And I'm just going to stamp some bubbles here down in the corner. And right about there is good. Okay. So that was Pool Party ink. I am now going to come back in with some mint macaron ink on our inside panel and our envelope, and we've got here a little school of fish. I don't know if you can see that stamp, but they're really sweet. And so we are going to go ahead and stamp this in mint macaron over our little bubbles here. And there's our little fish swimming in the water. Aren't they cute? And then we'll get the envelope. And then we will be about done with our stamping here, I think. Yeah. And then I'm going to go ahead and just stamp more little fish on the front of our envelope. And there we go. Okay, let me close this ink up. And I think we are done with stamping. I'm going to just turn around for just a second here. I want to die cut out the sentiment, and I am using the Stylish Shapes dies, and I love these dies. But there are 4 banner dies. I'm using the long banner die, the smallest of the long banner dies, to cut out the sentiment. And let me just get this lined up, and I will die cut this quickly. And just give me a minute here. I'm going to turn around to die cut this. Be right back. Okay, so we have our sentiment, and we put that there so I don't lose it, and we can move this stamping sheet away. All right, so I did, like I mentioned, I did previously stamp and fussy cut a couple of images. So I did stamp the turtle, and he was stamped in mint macaron ink on mint macaron cardstock. I just chose to use the detailed stamp for him. This turtle measures about 3.5 inches long, and then he is about 3¼ inches wide. So he's a good sized turtle. But we're going to bump up the image here a little bit. Now this stamped image is quite pretty the way it is, And with the two-tone stamping, it would be really awesome. I haven't tried that yet. That's something I'll want to try. And then I've got some little starfish here, and they were stamped in Calypso Coral ink. And I am going to quickly fussy cut. I say quickly. I'm not a quick fussy cutter, but I am going to attempt to quickly fussy cut. And when you're fussy cutting, you want to keep your scissor hand stationary and move the hand that's holding the paper when you're fussy cutting, and leave a white margin around the image as best you can. But you can see that I am moving the hand that is holding the paper as opposed to the hand that is holding the scissors. And this is an easy image to fussy cut. The turtle probably would have taken me forever on video to cut around. So that's why I stamped him ahead of time. And hey, Rosie, thanks so much for joining. No worries. Oh, you were exercising. Good for you. I think I've been getting my exercise today in cleaning. I've been cleaning my house up, trying to get it ready for the holidays, and I'm just about there. I still have a few more errands to do, but good for you. So I was just, your favorite activity, fussy cutting, Rosie. I was just explaining that you want to move the hand that's holding the paper and not the scissors, and that helps you get much smoother lines when you're fussy cutting. I am not an expert at it. There are lots of folks out there who are. They're really good at it. They're very quick at it. In fact, we have a team member that's super quick at this. I can't even believe how fast she can fussy cut. Yeah, house cleaning in my book is exercise. So there we have our two little starfish. And like I mentioned, you know, this image, I just used the detailed stamp in Mint Macaron on Mint Macaron cardstock. And as is, this image would be just fine. Or you could use the two-stamp process, stamp them in a solid color and come back with the detailed stamp, maybe in a darker color, and stamp off the details. But I chose to do this, and I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. And I've got Stampin' Up's watercolor pencils here. And I am going to use, now, on my original card, I did quite a bit of coloring on some of his like little, you know, markings on his back. But what I really want to highlight with the colored pencils is kind of some shading underneath of his fins and his neck and his eyes and nose and this back fin here. I actually had colored the other fin, but I don't need to on this image. It's going to be covered. But I am going to use the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils, and this is Night of Navy. And what I'm going to do is just come in and kind of define the edges, you know, under his neck, and then I want to go ahead and just kind of define the edges here under his fins. I guess that's what you call them. Fins? I don't know. Do turtles have fins? And I'm going to add a little bit of color here. But not super important to cover in all of the little spots. We just kind of want to highlight them a bit so that they appear darker. And then I'm going to come in with a blender pen. And if you've never used blender pens, I'll talk here a bit more about blender pens in a minute. But they are super, super handy to have in your stash. Like if you're stamping a sentiment, they come in handy if maybe the ink doesn't make good contact in certain spots. And you can dip the corner of that pen in your ink pad and pick up a little ink and, you know, correct. If it's a larger font, go ahead and correct, you know, any areas that might be a little light on the ink. It works beautifully. If you have a steady hand, you do have to have a steady hand for that. Okay, almost done here. Just trying to put a little bit of color. underneath his wings, or underneath his wings, underneath his fins. And I'm going to go ahead and just get this area under this fin, just a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with a Bermuda Bay watercolor pencil. And I am just going to lightly add some color to that area, and I'm going beyond the area that I just used the Night of Navy on. But you can see, I'll hold this up in a minute, but it really does help to define kind of that shadow that the turtles, you know, that these turtle body parts would be in. And I'm not being neat about this. I'm just kind of scribbling down some of this Bermuda Bay. And you get his lower back foot here. And then I am going to come in with a black watercolor pencil, and I'm going to darken his eyes, because I'm pretty certain if he's under the water, his eyes are dark. And I'm going to just maybe a little bit to the tip of his nose there, and come back in with the blue. And just kind of shade that. All right. So I'll hold this up so you can get a look at it, but you can see now that we've got some nice shadowing underneath his fins and his neck and his leg that's going to be exposed here. And I'm just going to take my blender pen, and I'm going to make sure it's clean. My blender pens are well loved, but I'm just going to kind of smooth out that color that I just laid down, and use a real light hand with this. And it just kind of blends all that color very nicely. And that is about as simple as it gets. It's really not anything difficult. It does add some nice nice detail to the turtle. There we go. Oh, thank you, Rosie. Yeah, I like to color stuff. I like to paint. So that really stepped him up quite nicely. And let me find, so our turtle is going to, he's going to be adhered to this smaller white panel. And all of the measurements for this card are going to be on my blog, not tomorrow, but on Friday. So Friday morning, you'll be able to get the PDF tutorial for this card. But I'm going to go ahead and add some dimensionals here, and we'll get, oh, you know what I want to do before I do that? I actually want to apply a little bit of glue and adhere this larger starfish to our turtle. Let me hold that back up and see where he goes. So pretty much his foot. Okay, so we can add some right in there and a little bit in there, just a little bit of liquid glue. And I am going to adhere the starfish. And while that's drying, I'll go ahead and get some Stampin' Dimensionals here. I usually have a few more people on my lives. I think everybody's just like rushing to get ready, honestly. You know, for the holidays. And I totally get it. Totally get it. And so I glued that starfish down first, just so that I could go ahead and kind of treat, well, do you think I could get that dimensional where I want it? Just so I can kind of treat this as one unit when I'm putting the Stampin' Dimensionals on. Let me get another strip here. And I'm a dimensional girl. I started cutting my dimensionals in half just to kind of conserve because I use so many. But I don't like anything saggy. That's always my concern. So I like to make sure everything is, you know, nice and supported. And I'm going to go ahead and take these dimensionals off. But before I do that, I just thought of something here. I think I'm going to go ahead. My sentiment label on my sample card is partially adhered to the white panel that the turtle goes onto. So, did I get them all here? Yeah, I got them all. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to lay him down carefully. So here's my white panel. So I do want the sentiment label partially onto the bottom of the panel that we're going to place the turtle on. So let me go ahead and do that. 10 degrees at your house, Rosie. Brr. Yeah, the cold is headed our way. We are going to have a very chilly Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, which is fine. I prefer it in the 40s, 30s or 40s, but yeah. When it starts getting into the teens and single digits, that's too much. So I'm just trying to, you know, I've got the little kind of interior points here on my banner label, and just trying to line that up with the bottom section of this panel. And somewhere I have a mat. I am going to go ahead and adhere. Oh, -10. Oh, I didn't see the negative sign. -10. Owie. That is brutal cold. I'm going to go ahead and mat this up, even though I've already attached, that sentiment label. That's fine. However, I made a heck of a mess with the glue here. Just kind of get that at -10. Wow. Yeah, that's some cold. I don't know, Rosie. If I were you, I'd be moving someplace warmer. That is mighty cold. Okay, now I've already put the dimensionals on our sea turtle. I wanted to kind of get that sentiment label in place just so that I can see how much room I have for my turtle. And this turtle goes almost the entire span of this panel. I'm going to let that large starfish overhang just a smidge, and I want to make sure I'm getting the turtle somewhat straight onto the panel. Let me try one more time if it will let me pick it up. We might be stuck. Terrible thing to be a perfectionist, honestly, which I am. All right, there we go. Okay, so we've got our turtle adhered. We can now go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put this little starfish on. And let me find my tweezers. These are so handy to have if you don't have a set of tweezers. Reverse tweezers. You should really invest in some because they are awesome. Just kind of straightening my little starfish out there. He got a little crumpled. And just a few dots of glue for him. And I am going to tuck him up here just underneath the little fin of our turtle. There we go. So that panel is done. And I'm going to go ahead and put on our DSP. And again, this is by the Bay 6x6 Specialty Designer Series paper. And look how lovely that is. But there's mint macaron, night of navy, balmy blue. I think there's some pool party, some white. But just this whole pack of paper, the by the Bay paper, is just gorgeous. Gorgeous. I made another card using it. I had a clamshell on it and a bird. but quite pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on our card front. And try to get a nice even margin all the way around. And that looks pretty good. And then we are going to put some more dimensionals on the back of our turtle. Oh, husband likes the cold. Yeah, that's a tough one. When I was younger, I actually wanted to live out towards where you live, not in that state. But, and my husband wouldn't go for it. He hates the cold. I mean, with a passion. Hates the cold. And he's like, no way. There's just no way. So I want to make sure that my sentiment label down here is supported. So I'm just making sure that I get some dimensionals under that label. And that looks pretty good. And we can go ahead and get this stuck down. Well, Rosie, just me and you today. I have a few more things I have to get done, and then I'm officially ready for Christmas. I still need to make fudge. I make it for the family. It's kind of a tradition. It's something my grandmother started, and she would share, you know, with the family at Christmas time. And when it became too hard for her to stir the fudge, I kind of took that chore over, and so I make fudge every year for everybody. I had heard that there was an earthquake, and I was wondering if Faith was okay. I may reach out to her via email here this afternoon and just check on her, make sure she's all right. I did not see where the epicenter was on that quake, though. You know, but it can travel pretty far, I know. And then we can, so basically that is our card front minus the embellishments. And I'll try not to forget to put those on. But I'm going to go ahead and adhere our inside panel to a Night of Navy matte. And then we can go ahead and get this stuck on the inside of the card and finish up the envelope, and we are just about done. So all kinds of really good specials going on with Stampin' Up! Right now. The last chance product sale of retiring products, and you can get some of those products up to 60% off, which is a great savings. We also have a refreshed clearance rack. Dimensional covers are getting ready to get all over my clean floor. Had to scoot them back there. The clearance rack has been refreshed, and so there is some really good savings there as well. So you want to be sure to check those out. I am offering double honey drop points, reward points. For every $25 that you spend with me, you'll get double points. You can visit my blog at inkybstampers.com to check that out, all the details. And I am also offering a paper share for all of the designer series papers and specialty papers that are going to be in the upcoming January to April 2023 mini catalog. So it is a great way. I'm getting my cards confused here. That's not what I want. I want the envelope. There we go. So a great way to get a sampling of all the papers. And if you'd like to sign up for my paper share, you can visit my website, and all the details are out there regarding the paper share and what, you know, basically I just need you to email me and let me know, do you want a single share or a double share? And I'm taking orders for those shares up until January 3rd. So let me just decorate up our envelope flap here. And if Miss Mary was on, she would say no naked envelopes. And so I always decorate my envelopes. And I am having a time with the glue today. I really am. I am making quite the mess with the glue. So I'll have to get my little rubber eraser out and fix that up. Okay, let me just trim away this excess paper. And this is kind of like fussy cutting. It's just way easier. And again, move the hand that's holding the paper, not the scissors. And if you open your scissors wide, you get a nice smooth cut, except when the paper gets in your way. Just kind of move it out of the way there. All right, almost done. Okay, there we go. And so that is our turtle card. Let me just put my embellishments on. I'm a great one for forgetting the embellishments on my videos. I'm terrible at it. But I chose opal rounds to put on this card front because I think they're so fun and they look like bubbles to me. I just love these to death. So I'm going to go ahead and let's put one up here this time. And these are well loved. I need a new pack because I've used so many of them on various cards. But on the C cards, I really like to use these opal rounds because I think they kind of add a realistic flair. So there we go. We've got this cute little sea turtle card, thank you card. And we've got the little school of fish on the front of our envelope. And on the inside of the card, I think they're so cute. But I'm going to be definitely playing with this set some more since these stamps actually let you stamp a solid image and then stamp a detailed image. Hey, Faith, thanks for joining. No worries. Actually, we just got done. Oh, Buffy got groomed. I bet she looks beautiful. We were just talking about you, Faith, wondering if you were okay with the earthquake. Everything okay at your house? Hopefully no damage, and it was way to the north of you. Yeah, our dogs got groomed on Saturday, and they look so stinking cute. But I've got to dig out their winter jackets. They don't normally need them, but we have them trimmed down a little bit shorter than normal, and yeah, I think they're a little bit chilly, and it's definitely going to get lots colder here. Now, I think the quake was yesterday, Faith. I think that's the one that Rosie was talking about. That's the only one I heard about, unless it was this morning, but I thought it was yesterday. But it sounds like you're okay, so we're glad to hear that. Just because I was thinking about you when I read that, and I'm like, I need to check with Faith and make sure everything's all right. All right, folks, that is it for my video today. I want to thank you so much for joining, Rosie and Faith. Thanks for jumping on. And I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a very Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoy some quality time with your family and friends. However you celebrate, have a wonderful time, and I will see you for another live next Wednesday. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.